Have you ever heard a book speak to you? Not the rustle of pages turning, but a voice, soft, chilling, calling your name? Tonight, we'll take you into a place where books don't just tell stories, they steal souls. A library so cursed, so dangerous, that one wrong choice could trap you forever. But here's the question. Have you ever broken the rules, just to see what would happen? Skipped to the end, ignored the warnings? Because that's exactly what Jack did. And what he found, you won't believe. Don't stop listening. This story will keep you guessing until the very last word. But beware, some endings weren't meant to be uncovered. Are you brave enough to turn the final page? Some words were forgotten for a reason. I never thought a simple library visit could change my life, or end it. It started as any other evening. I was in the library, scrolling through my notes and procrastinating on a term paper. The place was nearly deserted, just the way I liked it. I wandered through the stacks, looking for something, anything, to distract me. That's when I found it. A corner of the library I'd never noticed before. The lights were dim, and the air was colder, thicker somehow. But what drew me in were the books. Ancient-looking, with titles that seemed to shimmer and shift under the fluorescent light. One book in particular stood out. The Library of Forgotten Words. Its leather cover was cracked and faded, and its spine looked like it had been opened 1,000 times. I flipped through the pages, my fingers brushing against brittle parchment. The first few pages seemed ordinary. A story about a library, eerily similar to the one I was standing in. But as I read further, something felt off. The story wasn't just fiction. It was describing events from my life. My classes, my friends, even my favorite cafe. I turned to the back of the book, eager to see how it ended. But a strange warning stopped me. Do not skip to the last page. To do so is to forfeit your soul. I chuckled nervously. What kind of joke is this? I muttered. The temptation was unbearable. My fingers hovered over the final page, my heart pounding. What could possibly happen? It's just a book, I thought. But as soon as I flipped the page, I knew I'd made a mistake. The words weren't still. They twisted and writhed on the page like living things. My name was there, written over and over, in a handwriting that wasn't mine. And then I heard it. Jack. The voice was faint, but unmistakable. It wasn't coming from the book. It was coming from behind me. I spun around, but the library was empty, or so it seemed. The air grew colder and the lights flickered. Shadows began to shift along the walls, forming shapes that didn't make sense. And then I saw her. Lily. The senior who disappeared last year. Everyone said she dropped out, but here she was. Or something that looked like her. Her skin was pale, almost translucent, and her eyes, they weren't human. They were dark, bottomless voids that seemed to swallow the dim light around them. You shouldn't have opened it, Jack, she whispered, her voice distorted and echoing. Now you'll never leave. I stumbled back, clutching the book. The words on the pages began to rise, swirling around me like black smoke. The library was no longer the quiet sanctuary I knew. It had become a labyrinth, the shelves stretching endlessly, the walls closing in. I tried to run, but every path led me back to the same spot, the center of the room where Lily stood smiling faintly. You don't get it, do you? She said, tilting her head. You're part of it now. The library doesn't just store stories, it stores us. I looked down at my hands and screamed. The ink from the book was seeping into my skin, curling up my arms like living vines. Lily stepped closer, her voice soft but menacing. Every story needs a reader, Jack. And every reader becomes part of the story. I felt my legs freeze, my body rooted to the floor. Around me, the shadows of others began to emerge. Faces I recognized from old missing posters, their eyes filled with terror. "You'll read every word, Jack, every book, every page," Lily said, her hollow eyes staring into mine, "until there's nothing left of you but ink." And then the final revelation struck me. The book I had opened wasn't about me. It was me. My story was already written, and now I was part of the library. So remember, dear listeners, curiosity may lead you to knowledge, but some knowledge comes at a price. If you ever find yourself in a forgotten corner of a library and a book calls to you, think twice before opening it. Some stories aren't meant to be read, and some endings should never, ever be skipped. If this episode gave you chills or made you think differently about the stories we choose to tell, let us know in the comments below. Hit the like button, share this podcast with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales that will keep you on the edge of your seat. And remember, every story has a lesson, but some lessons come at a cost.